Hello and welcome to Build and Thrive, the podcast that is dedicated to improving the health and the happiness of the construction industry. I'm your host, Jennie Armstrong, and before we get started, I just want to say a big thank you to our sponsors, GKR Scaffolding, who are sponsoring Series 2. So today I have a very special guest, a friend and a colleague, Stuart Wallis, who's an Industrial Relations Director for Mace. Stuart is someone that I have a huge amount of respect for, and actually with some of the conversations we're having today, I think actually Stuart can bring a real authentic voice for many of the people working in the construction industry. So I'm really pleased to have you on today. Thanks for joining us, Stuart.
Thanks very much. Pleasure.
Thank you. And also you are a podcast host yourself.
I am, yeah. Recent venture, Hard Hats Headspace. So, yeah, it's the 17th podcast, I think, went out this morning on time of recording. So,
well done,
you. It's going all right.
Good. Well, just tell us a little bit about your background, because you've got lots of experience working in the industry, and obviously we are sharing a similar passion for what we're trying to achieve. So, yeah, tell us a bit about your journey and how you got to where you are now.
My glasses will go on and off. That's another part of my ADHD. So, started off working for the union in 1998 as doing admin, really, and did a bit of that. Moved from North Wales, with 200 quid in my pocket and a guitar. It sounds like I'm going to do a country and western song. But did 6 months of that and then met the then National Officer of the Union for construction. And he asked me if I wanted to work in construction as a researcher. Yes, love to. Don't know anything about construction, so that'd be great. And from there on, really, I went for a range of site visits with local officials to national meetings, doing wage negotiations, talking about welfare benefits for electricians in the GIB, and just experiencing at a very young age all kinds of relationships and networking with people. And I loved it. I'd been a steward before I moved to London, but this was where I felt like my career started, was moving into construction. Did that, and then I worked for industry body, Joint Industry Board for 4 years. Then I got headhunted, yeah. I always feel a bit, my imposter syndrome kicks in then. But I went to the ECA, which is the Electrical Contractors Association, and now that's the other hand of the GIB. So you've got 50-50 relationships. And now I was working for the employers, but doing the same job. Right? So the skills I learned from the union were brilliant for me in the rest of my career. Right? Also, the best training courses I did were working for the union. When I was a steward, probably as well before. Worked for ECA, went and did an audit for Speed Matthew Hall on how they were operating, seeing how they were looking after their staff, basically. Presented it to Ian Ray, and in the lift on the way down, he went, "We might be looking for a labour manager." I was like, "Oh, right," and I completely didn't see that coming. So 2010, go to Matthew Hall, had the best time ever. All through my career, Heathrow has been a big influence, right? So I go to Matthew Hall. I've done union at T5, GIB T5, ECA T5, although that wasn't really popular, but when I go to Matthew Hall, big M&E contractor, circa 600 to 700 people working either directly or indirectly for me, technically. Now, it was split up regionally, but I had the ultimate responsibility. Now, can you imagine 600 people in an office? How many HR people there'd be? There were, right? There were a lot of them. But because I looked after people on tools, it was me and a team of admin. So that was a bit of a baptism of fire, really, and that's probably where I learned how real contracting works, not what I'd learned theoretically before. And that was great. I loved it. And the thing that I've lived on in my career since then, early doors, the chairman at the time, Graham Ludlow, said, "We only get paid for putting pipes and wires on walls. The rest of it just leads us to do that. So look after the lads," was what he said. Lads and lasses now, or whatever gender, right? Look after them and we make money. If you don't look after them, we won't. And it kind of rings true when I look at where that business is now. It's a very different business. So my passion then, it's always been about fairness, But that's been in the forefront of my mind. So when I go to our projects at Euston or Heathrow or Gatwick or in the city or Manchester, it's think about that individual, how they're going to feel when they're at work, and work back from there. Because if we've got something wrong, what's the worst that can happen? My head always goes there. You know, when the train's late, my head goes really bad this morning, right? So what's the worst that can happen? Work it out and then work back to now, and so we can avoid it. So it could be the quality of food or welfare or mental health stuff. So I did that for a few years. Then I was consulting and working for employment businesses and agencies for a few years, which I thought like a contractor at the time. Not a lot of agencies. Didn't think a lot of agencies. Now I think they're incredibly important to what we do. Right? They fund a lot of our SMEs through their payment terms and all that sort of stuff. They're a big source of funding. And actually, the good ones are really good, and people work for them for years. So I grew that appreciation through working for First Step and then on Crossrail and what have you. So made good friends with some of our. I'm still friends with some of our competitors on HS2 from Crossrail. And then 2019, I got a call. Do you want to come work as an IR manager at Heathrow? Yeah. Who's it for? Mace. Oh, even better. Because I wasn't expecting it. I knew Mace, and I was kind of enjoying my job. But I met Nigel Cole in the June, and we were on proper Mace timescale. So I started in December. So and it was brilliant. Real baptism of not fire, but like a huge amount to do.
It's a big project. Yeah.
But 20 years of being at Heathrow, I was like, oh, I know this. I knew the client. Yeah. My second interview was with the client. Well, I knew the client because when my daughter was born, I remember her sending me a card and a present. And I was like, oh, amazing. So, started with Mace, and then the world sneezed in March 2020.
Way to reflect on that time.
And no planes in the sky meant no construction because they're losing money. And so Stu's off to do trains instead at Euston.
Similar.
Yeah, I think it's like off we went. Did it for a while. Then Rishi Sunak made a decision. I'm not getting political on that. Yeah. And we had to cut our cloth accordingly on the appropriate projects. And I said to Nigel, look, I know I needed full time on this job, but I know you're looking for my replacement at Heathrow. I think I can do both. And he said, I was mad, but if you want to, you can. So I did that. Paul said no originally, but agreed it was probably a sensible thing to do. So Euston get me all the time if they want me, but it's a day a week, right? I did that, and then a role came to be Mace's IR man, and there was a debate. I say that because there was a debate about what to call the role. So it was just like you're the IR manager or whatever it is. So I went and said, look, I want to be associate director for industrial relations. I think that fits well. It helped. It did. I was right. The seniority and position helps when talking to subcontractors that work for us. Yeah, sure. Not because I want to be horrible. I just want, we work together. I've probably know some of my subbies better than some of my colleagues, right? And that's the way to get things worked. We have maybe 60 projects in Construct. I can't go to them all. I'd love to. It's just impossible. There's me, and the best way to therefore deal with it is to get to know all the subcontractors and see them. Again, it's hard because there's a lot of people who want to work for Mace.
Big company.
It is. Yeah. And so it's been really interesting. I think since beginning of last year, my mindset's changed. I've got more confidence in myself. So I think probably during last year, I would never have saw myself in meetings with Mark Reynolds and Jason Millett, right? Because they're the boss, and I didn't see myself that part of the ladder. But at the beginning of this year, I was kind of started building a relationship, especially with Jason, really, and it's helped me with my job and understand. It just gives me confidence to know I could pick up the phone to the boss. So I've got a bit over my imposter syndrome. And, it's good. Enjoyed it.
Good. Yeah. Well, lots of good experience, I'm sure. And I suppose, like industrial relations, is that a typical job that big tier 1 contractors would have, or is it something a bit more unique to Mace?
These days, it is quite unique to Mace. I think there's only about 5 of us in the UK do this.
Yeah.
Like most of them are past retirement age. Right? Honestly, I speak to them a lot. They all work on similar projects to us. But yeah, Mace have had a IR person for probably 15 years. With my predecessor Dave, and I think we are quite unique in that we want to make sure we do things right. I think it's very clever risk management. To be honest.
No, I agree. And actually, I can relate to it from a health and wellbeing perspective because you've got to try and influence those people and have that voice at the table that's heard, because you've got such a important job to make sure that keeping people happy, looking after the business as well. It's a challenge, but I'm sure I know one that you're very, very good at. And obviously, you have your own podcast.
Yes.
So why did you start your podcast?
So part of I alluded to last year. So beginning of last year, I got diagnosed with anxiety and depression. I started seeing a counsellor, and I didn't want to talk about it because blokes don't. But though I was working with the Lions and doing stuff at different projects and working for a company that says talk, speak up, for colleagues and all that, didn't really do that. And I think I didn't realise I was in a bad place, actually. I didn't know I needed help until someone told me, you're not being very nice to yourself or others at the moment. Ironically, probably those at home rather than at work, because I don't see people at work very often. So you're like,
moving job to job, you can pass.
So I started that, and what I realised was talking about my mental health or talking about the fact that I had an issue made it all right for me. Then I got invited on a podcast called I'm the Gaffer, right? With Gavin, who was hilarious. And I thought, that was good. That was quite good fun. And then I got invited onto one up north with the boys back on, and I thought, I can do this. And within a week, I'd booked this studio. And I had, ADHD kicked in. Just do it now, right? Don't wait.
10 episodes first week.
And I went mad. I released too many episodes at once. But I was excited, right? In the other things, I didn't see anyone like me being vulnerable because it is a tough job, what I do. And a lot of it is verbal, not written down. It's very real conversations about, look, tough. Or both ways, whether it's subcontractors, colleagues, workforce, unions, whatever it might be, right? It's a tough conversation. But productive because you're trying to do it up front. So it was a risk, I thought, at the beginning, showing the vulnerability. But actually, all those people I deal with, A, said, I didn't know. And B, like, it's amazing you're doing what you're doing. So that kind of feedback, which you get every week, so you'll know this, right? You get a text or a message going, listen to this one, that was a corker. Or what you're doing is really important. And there are people I haven't seen since school, and I'm 48 and I left it. Well, nearly 48, week on Monday. So I haven't seen them since I was 16. And then getting in touch, saying, would you come and talk at our workplace about this? Would you come and do a training session? I'm like, I have a full-time job. So thanks, I'm flattered. But unless it's at the weekend and you pay a lot of money. But that just blew me away a bit, really. I thought it might, I don't know, looking down on myself a bit, but originally I thought I'll probably get some out and get bored. No chance. Love it.
Yeah.
Sitting there on a Sunday night with me software editing it, and it's good fun.
Well, you've got important stories to share, and you know, I talk a lot about the power of those personal stories when people see other people sharing. It's such a motivation to those that are a bit reluctant, and we need so much of that in our industry. That there's not enough people in senior positions who understand the industry, understand the challenges that talk. So I'm sure there's lots of people that are grateful for it, and definitely for me and the work that I'm trying to do. So I want to talk a little bit about health and wellbeing. So I think I heard you talk about talking about senior leaders and saying, well, you know, there's a little bit of negative press around construction at the moment. These project leaders aren't caring about people. They haven't got that, you know, they just want to build a job, and they care about profits, and that's it. And I think you said you haven't met one senior leader that doesn't care. People do care,
Absolutely.
And I share that view with you. I don't think we're getting it right, but what's kind of your reflections on, you know, where the industry is going? You know, what are those leaders that care, that you visibly see they care and feel they care, versus those that don't?
So I know, like I said earlier, I've got a relationship with the bosses, but the next level, the BUDs and the project directors like Paul Layton or Kevin over at Heathrow or Harish or whatever it might be, right? They want people to be well. They don't want people to get hurt. It's not just because they're going to get their asses kicked by whoever's their boss, right? They genuinely don't want people to get hurt. And that is led from the top of our business. And I see that in other companies as well. And no one wants anyone to get hurt. Yeah.
Mentally, physically.
Yeah. Like safety, from an accident or what might happen in the future.
Yeah.
And you take Heathrow, for example, right? People say, I had a workforce engagement meeting last week, which is workers that aren't supervisors or managers meet Mace. Right? No one in the middle. It's brilliant, right? And they're very honest because I don't take anyone's name down, so they know they can say what they want. And I like that. And they say, I always say at staff, what do we do well? And they say, safety's brilliant on this job. And we love, or at Houston, we love having the physiotherapist here. And they, you know, someone that can help us, because I had a bad back and I didn't know what. So they will be really honest. But there is a mindset between our leaders and the workforce, not of each other, but of, I haven't quite cracked it yet how we change this. Someone said to me last week when I said, right, if that happens, there was a potential incident, a near miss, but it didn't happen. Right? Did you report it? Listen, I'm not directly employed. I'll get pumped. I'm like, you are on the books though? Yeah, but week's notice I'll be gone. I'm like, well, right, actually speak up, because if that happens, let me know, let Matt, who's the night shift manager, know. We'll protect you. Like, you won't. I will.
I don't believe that's possible, no.
And I would protect them. I would go to their company and say, I understand this person's raised an issue. Leave him alone, though, for doing it. It's really good, and we should celebrate. So, where I see goodness is under Paul's stewardship, right? I see people are willing to stand up and speak. And other projects are good at it. And there are projects where people need to do better. And it's creating that culture of, actually, I can speak up. They do make a difference. And I ain't going to get pumped, as the word is, right? And I don't want that. I want people to come and work on a Mace project and feel proud to be on there, even though they won't be direct, very rarely. But they'll be working for a subcontractor. We're going to a Mace job because we know the welfare is going to be good. And then they might have occupational health nurse on the job, or if I've got a problem, I can stop and say, no, this ain't right. That's my dream, right? And I want us to be contractor of choice because workforce is scarce. So I don't want them to go to, and let's not name the competitors, but the other companies really. I want them to come to Mace jobs, and we're winning a lot of work, and we're going to need a lot of people. So it's hard.
Yeah. That those principles of psychological safety, where people, and I think from a safety perspective, we've known that for years. Yeah. How do we create that culture? And it's kind of learned experience. You see it. If you see people are treated fairly, then you appreciate that you can be safe to speak up. But I think from a mental health perspective as well, it's one of those things that
huge.
People are starting to feel more comfortable, and I don't know if that's society changes or because stuff we're doing in the industry to allow people to come forward. People are starting, but there still feels a long way to go through that. What's your reflections on kind of the stigma and the challenges for the workforce that we see?
I think, firstly, I don't think any initiative that promotes better mental health, as we all have mental health, just some days it's good, some days it's not so good. So all things that point towards better mental health is good. You can favour some over others. What I like is when we make it so easy and unavoidable for someone to have a conversation that they do, right? So whether it's a Mates in Mind start a conversation session with someone like Colin or Steve, or barbers pop up where people think they're going for a free haircut but end up having a full conversation. I would imagine the physio as well gets a lot of conversations that are mental health conversations, and I wonder whether that physio's ever put themselves through mental health training to help signpost people, because you have that touch point literally right, to listen to people. And then maybe you should do this, or maybe you should talk to them, or just, it's really good that you talked about that today.
Recognising the power of that moment. And I've seen it done really well, just like in leadership tours. There are some site leaders that are brilliant at those conversations, and they probably don't think I'm having a mental health conversation, but asking people like, do you like working here? How's things going? And building those relationships at that point.
So important.
Yeah.
And that is, you hit the nail on the head there, right? A mental health conversation isn't, are you really down and got to do yourself in? Right? No, it is. Everything all right?
Yeah.
And asking twice.
Yeah, absolutely.
It's really important.
Yeah, I know. And as I said, I've seen some leaders do it amazingly well. I've seen some leaders not necessarily want to hear the answer and perhaps avoid asking those questions. Yeah. And I think sometimes it's, well, what am I going to have to do with that? Have I got to now solve this person's problem if they've disclosed something like that to me? But just the power of listening is
so important. And I think people want an answer. They don't necessarily, even if it's the answer they don't want, they want an answer as to why. Yeah, sometimes you're like, oh, get over it. But you'll just say, just because that's why. But sometimes it's, look, we can't give a perfect example. This is a real example that comes up a lot. Can we have a pool table for the welfare? You're like, well, first of all, a game pool won't last 10, 15 minutes. There's 400 of you on site, and only a maximum of 4 you can play at once. And it ain't working. And if anyone has a bit of a disagreement, that's not good to have them on site. And just know there's no room. Like, you don't. It's very rare you see them in an office space as well. But it comes up now and again. So I write it down. And then the individual that is responsible for logistics will go, can't believe you brought this up again. So I haven't, right? And I'm not going to not report it because we know the answer. I give them the answer. If you read it, I've given the answer. So you don't do anything. And so you're right. You don't have to solve a problem. You just have to acknowledge it. And you can't have a pool table. But we do acknowledge things like, welfare's rubbish. The welfare's rubbish. The welfare's rubbish, which we had, right? And the canteen provider at the time, whether they were earning enough money or not is a different question. The quality wasn't good enough. And that was the feedback month after month. And then we interviewed a new one, and they came in. It was fantastic. And the workforce go, we love them.
Yeah.
Okay, what about the price? It's about the same. Maybe a little. It might even be a little bit more. But you know, the quality's there. I was like, oh, that's brilliant. And then you go, all like, you listened to us. We did. You know, it doesn't mean we wouldn't have looked for a better service anyway. But just having that listening and going back to people with an answer, it just makes people feel heard and acted upon. And I think for building that trust and therefore allowing people to ask more difficult questions.
Yeah, once you get over those basic things that are just basic human needs.
Yeah.
And I can relate to, like, sometimes I've had like workshops, and this isn't particularly on Mace jobs, but with other sites, and said to the workers, right, let's talk about some, you know, initiatives. What would you like to see? What's going to make you feel happy? What are the things that's going to really benefit your well-being? And it comes, if the canteen's not right and not being paid properly, they can't see beyond those things. And that is what shows them, you know, actually that they feel valued. And it's interesting because, again, put my nurse hat on, giving our workers decent quality food is almost as important, giving them the right tools and equipment to go and do their job. Like, how important is that for energy, for productivity? And often it's a bit of an afterthought, and you know, there could be so much more done in that space.
You're so right. I mean, I think I go back to, I think it's episode 1 with Johnny and Matt, right? And it's not the exact words, but putting diesel in a petrol car is going to ruin your engine, right? And I think we ask our workforce to perform hard labour tasks at all sorts of levels, whether that's electrical, whether it's ground workers, crane drivers who have to climb the ladder, right? You want them to be fit and healthy to get up there. And you wouldn't, and they're athletes. But you don't see Usain Bolt having a fry-off in the morning. He'll have healthy options. He could have one if he wanted. And our workforce, I'm not suggesting they're that quick, but
if they could be, I'm sure people would be giving them the right
would be over the moon, right? Productivity would be amazing. But putting the right thing and the right options in place. So Johnny was talking about nutrition and hydration for night shift workers. You know, he was like, we've got to try all these different supplements. And, he is trying everything, right? He's a guinea pig on himself. But things like he does intermittent fasting and eating your hydration. So watermelon, 96%. It's a better way of getting it into your system. I'm like, well, we don't do those in our canteens. Why don't we do those in our canteens? So I started talking to our clients or ourselves as well. Sometimes we're not always responsible for the welfare. I say, have you thought about this? Like, just fresh food. Now, we've got a ways to go on this. Right? Office staff, in a lot of projects, the baskets of fruit on the side. And those daytime office projects, when they become night shift areas to do nabs, right? The fruit baskets get put away so that they don't all get eaten for the daytime. And I'm like, who needs it most? Really? Is it the person who's going to sit at the desk for the day, or the person on nights who's knackered? And I can't think of the hormone you produce, but there's
the melatonin.
No, you produce between 5 and 6, and it's gone out my head. Johnny talks about it's your testosterone, right? It's naturally between 4 and 6. A man's body reproduces that more.
Ready for this.
Not if you're on nights, because you're awake and you're knackered, and that's why naturally your body likes to go to sleep. Now go back to when I worked shifts at Vauxhalls. I hated nights because I would falling asleep standing up is not nice. Right?
That's pretty extreme, yeah.
But the line used to stop. You'd have his bump caps on, and you could feel yourself going, but you still stood up because you slept all day next to the floor. And I never understood it. Now I do. And my body needed to go to sleep at that time. You have to train your body So you've got to artificially stimulate that restoration of your hormones. And I didn't like doing that. But I think those people, or those issues for people, we can look at addressing and saying to our canteen providers, look, this is no longer the era of a greasy spoon with a white van man.
Yeah.
Most of our workforce don't have a van, first of all. And we have high standards and expectations. We want people to be healthy. And unless we show them the way,
it
ain't going to happen.
No. And
we'll make it available.
And most of the workers, they haven't got hours to go and walk off site, so either bringing food in. And I do feel that you walk around canteens now and you see a lot more people that have thought about this and brought decent food in with them, because they're probably more conscious, but they're still a huge proportion that will go, right, what's the healthy option, or what can I get today, which is the cheapest. I know I tried some initiatives with another project where we discounted the healthy option, and actually that was a really effective way of doing it, because a lot of the workers are still thinking money, and usually the healthy option is the one that they add an extra few quid on for.
Because it's got avocados in. Or something, And you're like, well, I like that. Well, doing that, or subsidising that.
And this is the thing with kind of project planning. Think about this stuff early on. Like, think about this in the actual setup of the project. Like, what do we want to achieve here? And if that's one of the fundamentals, then definitely more work in the industry to do on that space, and more so than education, because you can tell people what you need to eat. The information's readily available. Just Google it; they'll tell you what the latest diet craze is. But actually, enabling people to eat it and providing it is a very
really
different
important
thing.
I mean, I don't know many sites that work nights where you can go and chop up a watermelon. But there are. There's usually a kitchen somewhere. So actually, maybe we should be asking the welfare providers, look, because you put fruit on, watermelon chopped up, squeeze a bit of lemon on it, tastes like sherbet. And it's just...
I think you've got a new business venture, watermelon extraction site.
It's all Johnny Pankhurst's fault.
But coming back to the free fruit thing, because in like kind of the health and wellbeing space, we often will have a bit of a free fruit's not the answer to wellbeing. But actually in those scenarios, it's about fairness. And a lot of the workers, and you probably see this, if they see a certain group of people having access to all these things and they don't, it's not what they're being given, it's the difference that they're being treated. And do you see stuff
I do.
like that?
And it aggravates me because my job is predominantly, I cover everyone. Which surprises some of our leaders when I go and go, this member of staff said this. I thought, you did blue collar. But the feeling of unfairness from a workforce really affects productivity. And I won't name names, but I'll tell you a story about one of my workforce engagement meetings. And project director, who we both know, was infuriated as I was on this. And someone said, I work in one part of the site, which is a long way from the welfare, so we've got our own canteen. Right, but it is a microwave kettle, nice chairs. And then over here, you've got a small canteen. It's not amazing, but in the morning, you provide free porridge because it's cold, right? And it's brilliant. It's too far from us. Could we have some over there? And I thought, that's a perfectly reasonable thing, because you're boiling the kettle and pouring it on oats, right? It's really not that hard. So I'm sure we could do something. Anyway, typed up my notes like a good lad, send to all of the leadership team. And someone sent me a message saying, I'm going to sound awful here, but why do the workforce believe they have this right to be fed and watered by us? I was like, and now I knew this person was rarely left the office, right? And I said, so in my usual sarcastic self, I said, I completely get what you mean. I don't know what they're on about. So you get to sit there in the clothes we've provided, bright orange, in a canteen, and eat porridge. I don't know why they won't walk over from the other place. They don't have it as hard as you, because between Teams meetings in your warm office, you haven't had a chance to go to the coffee machine that provides a free espresso. They don't know how good they've got it. Send. And then I was like, I'm going to regret that. But I didn't. So I was so angry about it. I can't be angry on my own. I've got to share this because it's really got my goat. So I screenshotted it, sent it to said project director, or he wasn't at the time. Can't effing believe this, right? And he's like, love your response. But me either is I hate privilege right, and unfairness of that view. That person doesn't work on the project anymore. But that feeling of unfair, I feel that, and I could just see. Now, if I'd have gone back to the workforce, and someone might listen to it now, and said, oh, someone in our office thinks you shouldn't, why do you feel like you have the right to be fed? We don't. It was -5 down in the tunnels. And you're wearing sweaty PPE because it's going to be when you've walked down 187 stairs because there's no lift. You're like, a bit of porridge is pretty easy.
Porridge isn't expensive.
No, it's not expensive. We could probably afford to put a bit of honey and some fruit on it if we wanted to, And the increase in productivity would pay for that tenfold.
Easily,
And I think people don't, from a commercial perspective, so I've put all my different hats on. We didn't have a canteen on one job. We had 200 people on the job. Like, but there's shops everywhere. So, but you tell them you can't go outside in your PPE because there's a problem. Yeah. So everyone's got to get changed. So if you've got half an hour lunch break, they're going to leave their job 25, 30 minutes at least before, especially if they're at the other end of the site, for their break, their lunch break, so that they can go out, get something to eat, come back, have a half an hour break, because they're entitled to a rest. Because you haven't rested at this point. They're getting changed, they're walking somewhere to get it. Right. And then you got it in reverse after half an hour. So you've lost an hour and a half of productivity. Right? It's cost you an hour per person, 200 hours per day. Should we have a canteen? Because that's millions. Oh yeah, that's a good point, that's you. Right. You've literally got to think about everything sometimes. Like, I argue over water. Someone says, right, we've got it on the ground floor. We'll put one on the top floor and put one in the basement. Well, they're expensive then. Not as expensive as the person who takes 10 minutes to walk down, 5 minutes to have a drink, and then fill the flask, and then 10 minutes to walk back up. Because you just had a glass of water. And we haven't even thought about that. It's not a break. It's just hot. So we go, make sure you hydrate. Put it up there. Put it down there. So you don't have to come up and down. People feel better not having to go up and down the flight of stairs with all the tools.
And be able to drink regularly. And
and they're back at work. They're at work because people want to work. It's
interesting, and I reflect on like other industries, and we talk about how do you attract people to the industry, and you can go and work maybe in a Google office, and you would have food, drink, water, anything that you wanted to be there on tap, and that's I'm not saying that's the solution for construction, but that's a norm for others. And if someone's given a career choice, do you want to come and work in this nice office where you get given this and you have got a pool table, or you go and work in this environment, and there's people that will choose a different path, and there's more of that. I think we're definitely behind, and
there's
more
work
learning to do.
And I think if we can, my ambition for Mace is for us to do that before the others. And I always want us to be ahead of the curve. And that's hard because there's different stakeholders in the business have different views. But I think fundamentally we're aligned in we want to have the workforce to build our projects, to be able to go, wow, didn't we do this? Coming through London Bridge is always amazing, isn't it? You go, oh, we did this. Despite the fact it was before my time, just ignore that bit. But I think we are aligned, but there's loads of work to do.
I think I don't want to get too much in the client space, but I think clients have a huge part to play. I think I interviewed Andy Mitchell last week, and he spoke openly about if a client means it, you've got to put the money behind it, because that is what enables these decisions to be made, and set your ambitions early doors.
I've seen that as well. Definitely not naming clients, but the difference between a client that goes, yes, best welfare, best in class welfare for this because we're on this project for years. Amazing.
Yeah.
To clients, I go, it's your problem. Well, we need a space. No. Now, in our business, we have standards that are high. Right? That are part of working on our projects, wherever you go. So, actually, sometimes where it's up to us, it's better than where it's up to the client. But client money behind it is really important because they get more out of it.
Absolutely.
It's really important.
So I want to kind of talk a little bit about mental health because I think there is we're kind of at a bit of a crossroads in the industry at the moment. I think everyone is saying, look, we've spoken about awareness. We know there are issues. We know the suicide rates are high. Things need to change. Like, what's your perspective on the industry and where we're going and perhaps, what is it that's going to help us to move forward?
It's a tough subject because there are so many potential contributing factors. Right?
There's not one answer you can give me to say this is going to solve it.
No, absolutely. I think there are easier solutions to find than there are finding the reasons we have the issues. Right? Is it because people work in a transient workforce? Yes. Is it because people come from different countries? Yes. Is it because people work long hours? Yes. Is it because people can't get enough hours? Yes. Right? All of these things can affect, right? But that's not unique to construction. It's more so in construction, but it's so many different things. I mean, one of the things we do in construction that we say is great for your mental health is working outside, right? And so it is sometimes cold and sometimes too hot and sometimes heavy, hard work, right? But there are benefits to that. So that can't be an only reason because it's working outside in the elements. Some people really like that, right? If you only give people a basic 7.5 hours a day, 5 days a week, no overtime, and they might want to work overtime. They might be saving up extra for a wedding or whatever, right? Then that's depressing for people because they can't earn enough money, but they don't want to leave the project you're on because yours is a good project. And the one over the road is doing 10, 15-hour days or 12-hour days, whatever, and paying self-employed and they're taking loads of money home. It's not a very nice job to be on, but the money's there. So there's a dilemma of which one you choose. Do I go and earn more money or do I sit where it's warmer or better facilities? So from our perspective, what can we do? Well, we can encourage our supply chain to be better with their workforce. Some are, some are not, right? And by our supply chain, I don't mean just the ones direct to us. I mean right through. So there are good employment businesses, for example, agencies, as was, and there's some not so good. And there are some good tier 2s, some not so good. I think, regardless of how you employ, for example, you should have the decency to give someone notice that they don't need them anymore. And I don't mean at 5 to 3, you're finishing at 3. Give people a week. Because that gives them the mindset. I know that's not a lot.
But for some people, that was still is short.
It's still very short. It would destroy me, right? But from a perspective of at the moment where there's nothing, let's change it a bit. Just say, right, you can have a week's notice. There's people that listen to this will go mad at me for this. But I just think showing more respect to individuals and to your colleagues as a whole, just a little bit more time and effort in thinking about, right, I don't need that person anymore, get rid. Right? You can't do that if people are on the books, right, first of all. So treat people have that mindset. You know, there'll be plenty of people talk about flexibility and peaks and troughs in workload and all that. But it doesn't stop you being a little bit more respectful to the people you are about to say, don't need you anymore. So that's one thing we can do. we could try and do. And I'm trying to encourage people to see that more. And I don't care how people are taxed, what kind of contract they've got. It doesn't matter. You should be respectful of people regardless, right? So I don't buy that argument that you must treat people different on how they're employed. I think that is a big contributor, right? There was a great video we used to use in induction. It was shot on a BAM site called Over the Edge. And you looked at all these elements and I was like, there's loads of these in there, things we could address. We do our tier 2s know where our labour that is from Europe or where they live, how they're living. They don't have to tell us, but do we ever ask? You all right? You got somewhere sorted? What is it, a caravan next to the M25?
Yeah, and caring about what the answer is to that. Yeah.
And just, I know you're here from another country and you'll be going home for the summer. Construction uses a big part of its workforce over the summer holidays. They go, our workforce goes back to whichever Eastern European country they're from. And they're some of the best workers I've ever come across. And I've got some good friends in this. So that's why the industry respects them going away for 6 weeks. Right? Because they're going to come back for the other 48 weeks or 46 weeks and do an amazing job. But just taking some time when they come back and go, right, whilst you were away, we did some research, and what we found is there's some accommodation. That's a simple thing, right? We could do things like that, or just more on welfare, or more on this is what you missed while you were away. We've done this job. Let's just bring you up to speed on that. You're back in here. Rather than just go, well, you've been away 6 weeks, so you must sit the same induction. Let's have a bit of common sense. Some places we do that, but there is options for us to do more for our workforce. There isn't a silver bullet. I think we need to encourage. We can keep doing what we're doing. I know you keep doing what you do, you get the same results. I don't think that's true. I think the more we talk, the more, there's awareness, there's action. Awareness is the posters, the call lines, the Lighthouse charity kind of stuff, mates in mind, right? And then there's the action, which is the barbers or physiotherapists or just what we're doing, right? On this podcast, and putting it out to people, saying it's all right to be vulnerable. And I think it's being that more human. We're doing some good things. It goes both ways. I think the workforce needs to trust us a bit more. I think the critics of leaders need to actually sit and talk to leaders rather than assume. Because my leaders sound like I'm a Klingon, right? But the owners of our business don't want to see people get hurt, physically or mentally. I want people to be well. They sponsor the initiatives. I'll tell you what we could do as an industry. I'm not going to single out just my business. Physical health, safety. Physical safety. There's a lot of money spent on it.
Yeah, I'm with you on that one. And it's very well budgeted and thought through.
Very well budgeted.
People in those professions, in those roles, doing that work. Yeah.
We want the mental stuff for free.
Volunteers, passionate people that come forward. Yeah, that's it.
Employee support groups or whatever they're called. I'm not a fan because I am. Right, they do amazing things. Let's start this again. I was the shop steward, and I used to represent the workforce, and I get time off to do it, get paid to do it. And someone would sit on my bit of the production line. I would come back and have solved problems. I would do disciplinaries, I'd do wage negotiations, etc. And we'd have safety reps. Now what we do is we set up a diversity at work group, like committee. Who wants to volunteer? You'll need to do it around your job. No one's going to pick up the slack for you. So, and we're not paying you more for it. We're not really going to give you any budget either. But you bring us the ideas, and if it's good, it doesn't cost us much, we'll take it on. hang on, it's rubbish.
Yeah.
And it's very clever from a business perspective because you get to nick people's ideas, right? Because that committee will know someone who will come and do a talk for you and give you some slides. And the next thing, the business is using those slides and not crediting them for it, or their ideas on occupational health or neurodiversity or mental health awareness. You know?
Yeah.
And I'm like, hang on, you wouldn't ask people, right, let's have a PPE committee, right, to look at fall arrest systems.
Yeah.
Just what you go, no, we've got experts on that.
Yeah.
Well, no, you haven't. The ones who use them, they're the experts, right?
Yeah.
You don't talk to them about that. So I think put some budget in because it's proactive, right? We talk about reactive. PPE is the last line of defense, but every job you go on, standard 6-point PPE. Okay, let's just look at what kills people more every day. Is it falls, slips, trips and falls? Is it moving vehicles? Is it suicide? Yeah. Hands down, it's suicide.
Yeah.
Tom Chapman, bless him, it's nearly 10 years old. He needs to redo this for inflation. But his documentary, £1.7 million haircut, that was the cost in 2016 of a suicide to the UK economy. Yeah. And I've said before, I don't apologise. I know it's crass to put a monetary value on it, but that's what makes people sit up. Now, it's probably double now, 10 years on. But we could save a lot of money to the economy and to business by reinvesting in mental health support. No, the NHS is not the answer, by the way.
No, and we know the NHS is failing in so many ways. That's not the answer. I agree, and I think that there is more recognition that the role the workplace can play. But I still, I'm with you. People haven't really grasped what does that actually mean. And I say if you were to say right, health and safety, half the budget's to safety, half to health. I mean, think about.
So you get half to safety, half to health, and then you split that half and half between. Physical health and mental health. Yeah. So you're getting a quarter of the budget. That would be amazing.
Can you imagine?
Right? Yeah, it would be amazing. And but our health and safety budget is run by safety experts, not health experts. In industry, from the health and safety executive down, right? And maybe we need to change that narrative a bit. I just think there are great things out there. As someone who was diagnosed with neurodiversity, ADHD last year, and I've seen other people with dyslexia in the business, people, if they can see a bit of software, they'll buy it for you. It's fine, but you can have some coaching now, please, to help me be my best at work. You don't need a coach. You're not an executive. You're not a leader. No, but I'm dyslexic, so I need someone to help me learn how to be my best at work. Yeah, but you're physically delivering things. Why would I do that? It's going to cost me money. Who's going to pay for it? Well, hang on. So we need to put our money where our mouth is. I mean, I have direct experience, obviously, of the neurodiversity stuff, and around people spending a budget on it. It's hard, right? Because you don't physically see something for it. There's no fall arrest system that comes with it. There's no
measurable stat that says, we've not had any fatalities, so we're okay.
Well, most businesses are coming towards appraisal time now, right? And they'll say, right, we have our values. I saw this brilliant thing the other day about values and goals and ambitions of a business. We have our values, so you need to set your goals against our values. Okay. Well, what about developing me to be my better self? You'll get more money out of me. You'll make me more productive, and you'll get more out of me. So why don't you invest in people's neurodiversity, right? And understanding your workforce holistically as a business, and then you can go, oh, actually, everyone who's in our creative team has a similar issue. So why don't we invest some of that? or 100%, I'm not the only ADHDer that goes out on site. Most people that are in some sort of level of, I would say, from the tools to construction managers, you could see it, especially now. Now I can
you're
see
aware.
it myself. Well, wouldn't it be great to find out what makes them tick? So when they come to their appraisal, they can go, actually, I've done this thing, and it says these are the 3 things I'm best at, and how to make them better. But 3 things I need to work on in the next year to make me better. Well, that'd be brilliant. That'd be real, rather than we need to stick it against the poster.
Or do this training course and that was e-learning platform.
Yeah.
There you go.
Why do I need to do safe erection of a tower crane? It's on the mandatory training. I'm not even going to fit up a tower crane, never mind. But you'll get up there, I'll be knackered by the top. And it's not, I'm not an expert in that. I would ask someone else. I would look after the crane driver. Building it, absolutely not. I have no idea,
I know, and even like we say, and obviously we had your wife Jackie on my podcast last time. And one of the things that she spoke about was the drop curb effect. So you drop a curb for someone in a wheelchair, but actually it benefits the mother with the baby in the pram, and all the other impacts from it. And actually, you look at, like you say, the uniqueness of our industry, the different types of people, like. Putting RAMs into more visual format is going to benefit someone who's dyslexic, but also the person whose English isn't their first language. And and again, I think we're not looking at all those different elements that can really help people to be at their best self. And there's simpler things that aren't just treating everyone completely individually and spend lots of money. There's fundamental things a business can do to really enhance that.
It's really important we look at it, because some stuff's free. And they love a bit of free. We all love a bit of free, right? So too much sometimes. But if you can find ways of helping people do their job better. So like you say, making sure people understand RAMs. Pictorialising it. We started doing more of that. And that's good. But just making sure they do get it and understand is really important.
Do you actually understand this? Signing to a paper is very different to do you understand?
So, I mean, I spend a lot of time when I deliver inductions, which is not as often as I used to. I spend a lot of time on RAMs. And, do you understand these are legal documents? Once you put your signature on, you're saying you've read them, understood them, and agreed them. Oh, no. But don't bloody sign them then until you're done. And then you go back to what I said before. Well, I might get pumped. So this is that psychological safety to go. Don't think that's right, mate. People not get angsty. Those people asking them to sign are under a lot of pressure as well. Those stats we hear about suicide are not just in the labouring community, but right through the business. So we need to look at pressures. There's a real lack of workforce. There's a skill shortage throughout, and I think there's a lot of pressure on those people to get the job done. So if someone comes and goes, I don't agree with this, I've got to get 20 people out to work. We need to help them as well. So it is the ADHD that stands in the middle. It's my favourite one because it's me. Right? If I stand in the middle of a site, I'm trying to listen to people. Well, I'm listening to people. If this was open plan, I'd be a useless guest because I'd be wondering what's happening behind me. Right? And the same on sites. But if I go and put my back against the wall, I feel more secure. Weird, isn't it? Right? And I don't get distracted, so I can concentrate on what I'm doing. Going my back to open space.
Everything behind you.
Distract. That's free.
I like that.
Stuff like that is free. There are things that cost money, but you know what? You get more out of your staff. It costs $1,000. You might get $5,000 more out of them a year. It's a good investment. So that's what we need to be doing.
Thank you, Stuart. Well, we've had a very real conversation, and I really appreciate your reflections of how you see things are at the moment. We've got a lot of work to do. And thank you so much for being a guest.
Pleasure.
Brilliant.
Thank you very much.
So thank you, everyone, for listening and for watching. Thanks again to our sponsors, GKR Scaffolding. And I'm your host, Jennie Armstrong. I'll see you next time. Thank you.